So in testing, we have two types of testing, that is manual testing and automation testing. Automation testing means we use different softwares like LoadRunner, WindRunner, HP Quality Center, QTP, Quality Test Professional. So like this, we have a couple of automation softwares to test any project, okay? To test an application or a project. So the other one is manual testing. When I say manual testing, so manually, like a human tester interact with the system and test the application manually. Like if I ask you to test a cell phone, how do you test manually? You just click on the call button, okay, and you just click on the end button, you just click on the message box, you just check, manually how it works, the sound quality or the network, whatever it is. So here we have different types of testings, okay. So depending on the project, we use these testings. So automation testing we don't discuss because automation testing is done by automation testers. So those people, a person who want to work on automation testing, that person should have knowledge on automation softwares. Like as I said, load runner, wind runner. So we are not going to discuss into that. Now we just look types of testing. Very very important topic. So as a business analyst, why you should know about these types of testing? I mean different types of testing. There are around 21, okay, types of testings. Why? Why? Because if you look into different projects, okay, like there may be different domains, different technologies, okay. So different projects use different technologies. Like let's assume today you are designing one online banking application for Wells Fargo Bank. So that online banking application can be designed by using Java programming, and the next project you may work for Bank of America. I mean you may work on Bank of America project, like Bank of America online application project. So there they may use .NET, so like the C++, or SAP, or Java, or .NET. So like this, there are many different softwares. So as a business analyst, we are nowhere concerned about all these softwares because project to project the technology differs, right? So how many softwares do you remember? It is very difficult for a business analyst to learn these tools and to know about these tools. So that is the reason business analyst can work on any project but not on the technology, okay. But when it comes to testing, okay, but when it comes to testing remains same, right? I mean, as I told you, we have here 20 or 21 types of testing. The same testings you will find in all the projects. Like if you are working on online banking application or any bank, any company, if you see, we basically do white box testing, black box testing, functional testing, program testing. So these are the common testings we do for every project, okay. So that is the reason you should know about different types of testing. So once again I'm saying the testings are of two types, manual and automation, and here we have around 20 or 21 types of testing. They can be implemented by any of these. I mean, for example, there is a regression testing. Regression testing is done by automation tool, okay. So like this, anyhow, we will see now what are the different types of testings are there, and what exactly they are. Okay, I'll explain you in detail with proper examples, okay. Now let's see, we have unit testing, integration, system, blah blah, up to 21 types of testing. Let's start with black box testing. So let me copy this uh, in an in a Word document so that it will be pretty clear. Now let me change the color. So let me select it first. Okay, now let's see one by one. Okay, the first one is black box testing. Let's see what black box testing says. Not based on any knowledge of internal design or code, tests are based on requirements and functionality. Okay, so black box testing says that only functional requirements we have to test. What do you mean by functional requirements? What are the functional requirements? Functional requirements means which do some action, right? Like login page, sign in button. Okay, whatever the requirement which do some action, we call them as functional requirements. So only functional requirements we are testing, that is the functionality we are testing, we call it as black box testing. Okay, now the second one is white box testing. So white box testing is opposite to black box testing. Based on knowledge of internal logic of an application's code, tests are based on the coverage of code statements, branches, paths, conditions. That means programming, testing the program, testing the logic. Okay, so you got my point, right? What I'm saying? Black box is functional requirements testing, and white box is programming testing. Now, the third one is unit testing. The most micro scale of testing to test particular functions or code modules, typically done by the programmer. See, the most micro scale, it's the detailed testing, okay, like program, typically done by programmer and not by testers. So programmers will do this unit testing. For example, there is a 100 lines of program or a 500 lines of program. So do you think that a tester can test it, test the program? Let's say a Java program is there. So do you think that a tester can test this Java program? So if a tester want to test this Java program, the tester should have knowledge on Java programming, correct? Or the tester should work as a programmer earlier. Okay, that is the reason they are saying typically done by the programmer and not by testers, as it requires detailed knowledge of the internal program design and code. Of course, if you want to test this type of programming testing, a person should have good knowledge on programming and designing. Not always easily done unless the application has a well-designed architecture with tight code. Okay, may require developing test driver modules or test harness. That is something related to testing. Okay, so what I mean to say here is unit testing is not done by testers, unit testing is done by programmers. Next, that is any project. It is not that only depends on the SDLC. It's not like that. That can be any project. Every project has to design by writing some programming only, right? So we write some program and design the application. Next one is incremental integration testing. See, if you have any doubts, if you want any more examples, okay, I'm ready to help you out here. So just ask me if you have any doubts, because we have around 20 or 21 types of testings. So we'll be discussing all these now. So just ask me if you have any doubts or any examples if you didn't get an idea. Okay, now the fourth one is incremental integration testing. Continuous testing of an application as a new functionality is added. Fine. Here, do you remember incremental SDLC model? Yes, right? We talked about SDLCs like waterfall, prototype, agile, scrum, incremental, RAD, RUP, right? So in that, when you look into incremental model, So what do you understand there in that SDLC, in incremental SDLC? Incremental SDLC says developing independent applications, correct? The applications should not depend on each other. Like for example, inside online banking application, okay, once you log into online banking application, you will find different requirements, right? Like account download statement, uh, and bill payment, fund transfer, correct? So they are independently designed, they don't depend on each other. If you do any modifications or if you remove any requirements from this, like for example, if you remove account download statement option, that nothing affects to, okay, bill payment. If you remove bill payment option, nothing affects to account download statement or fund transfer. Got it? So they are independently designed and they work independently. So such type of designing, we call it as development, we call it as incremental model. And for such incremental models, the testing what we do is incremental testing. Okay, incremental integration testing. Continuous testing of an application as a new functionality is added, of course. So first you add account download statement, then you add fund transfer, then you add bill payment, then you add fixed deposits, okay, something like that inside online banking application. So whenever you add a new application, you just test it. That is known as incremental integration testing. Let's see. Continuous testing of an application as new functionality is added requires that various aspects of an application's functionality be independent enough to work separately before all parts of the program are completed. Okay? Or that the test drivers be developed as needed, done by programmers or by testers. Yes, this can be done by, this testing can be done by programmers or or testers, anyone. I mean, functional, non-functional, anything can be done here. So just try to understand, when you are designing an incremental model, you have to remember that we have to do incremental testing. That's it. And the next one is integration. So integration is opposite to incremental. So in incremental, as I said, independent applications, where in integration testing, all parts are combined together, like all requirements depend on each other. Like for example, Windows operating system or any operating system, okay, or any application. If you take an example of cell phone also, even if without a call button, there is no use of phone. Without a connection, there is no use of phone, correct? So that means the requirement, each and every requirement depending on each other, depends on each other. So such requirements, such model, we call it as incremental integration testing. Now, sorry, integration testing. Testing of combined parts of an application to determine testing of combined parts of an application to determine if they function together correctly. Okay, together, when all requirements are at one place, how they work. Okay, the parts can be code modules, individual applications. Yes, that can be any programming, or that can be any application, client and server applications on network, etc. Client and server, like operating systems, servers. Okay, this type of testing is especially relevant to client server and distributed systems. Server means what? Many systems are communicated to, okay, one server. Like basically in every organization we use, I mean, we have different types of servers, like database server, application server. Okay, so basically in every project we use, most of the companies, they use Citrix server. Okay, where when you have to log into Citrix server, and you will find your project there, and people from different locations, they can view through this server connection. Okay, okay, whatever it is. So that is known as integration testing. Now, I mean, combined parts of system testing is known as integration testing. Next one is functional testing. Black box type testing geared towards functional requirements of an application. This type of testing should be done by testers. This doesn't mean that the programmer shouldn't check that their code works before releasing it, which of course applies to any stage of testing. Functional testing, black box type testing geared towards functional requirements of an application. So functionality testing. Functional testing means you have to test the functionalities. So let's see. This type of testing is done by testers. This doesn't mean that the programmers shouldn't check that their code works before releasing it, which of course applies to any stage of testing. Yes. So both will work here. I mean, programmers will test the program, and the front end, the functional people, functional testers will test the functionality. But moreover, the functional testing means it is like black box testing only. That's it. Next, system testing. System means complete system. Okay. Now, if I say like ATM machine, a complete ATM machine testing, like internal, external softwares, everything. Black box type testing, that is based on overall requirement specifications, covers all combined parts of a system. If I say computer, so you connect to keyboard, you connect a mouse, okay, internally, externally, everything comes in the system. I mean, a particular logic, a particular application, okay, that is known as system testing. End-to-end testing. End-to-end testing means complete hardware and software. Like I can say a database, operating system, laptop, system, everything, internet connectivity, everything, that is known as end-to-end testing. Basically, end-to-end testing, uh, they ask for testers. Suppose if you are a tester, you apply for a tester job, so they basically ask for end-to-end testers. Similar to system testing, the macro end of test scale, macro, the complete, okay, so it's not micro, it's a macro end of test scale, involves testing of a complete application environment in a situation that mimics real world use. Yes. So how real people use it in how in a real world, how people use it, how it works. So that is known as end-to-end testing. Everything you have to test, let's say, such as interacting with a database, using network communications, or interacting with other hardware applications or systems if appropriate. Okay, other hardware applications or systems if appropriate, anything, a complete testing, end to end. And the next one is sanity testing. Sanity means, so it sees that, it checks that it is in enough condition to work or not. So let's see a small example here. Typically an initial testing effort to determine if a new software version is performing well enough to accept it for a major testing effort. Let's assume we design a Microsoft Office, okay, software, let's assume. Now you designed it and you installed an operating system. You have to install an operating system, right? So once you install, for example, if a new software is crashing systems every 5 minutes, let's assume automatically when you install the software, the operating system get crashed, okay, and every 5 minutes, bogging down systems to crawl, okay, getting it is making the system to go down, or destroying databases, anything which do some harm, okay. The software may be not in a sane enough condition to warrant further testing in its current state. Got it? So this is known as sanity testing. So this sanity testing is done on all the softwares, like which you installed on the operating system or which you installed on any application. Got it? So we call it as sanity testing. Whatever the software you design, you design Microsoft Office, or you design a VLC player, or you design Adobe Reader, or whatever it is, what we have to install in an operating system. So each project, each application, I mean each software should be tested. That is known as sanity testing. Got it? Next, let's go to the second page. The second one is, just a second. Okay. So let's change the color. It's fine. Yep. The next one is regression testing. Retesting after fixes or modifications of the software or its environment. It can be difficult to determine how much retesting is needed, especially near the end of the development cycle. Automated testing tools can be especially used for this type of testing. Okay, so regression testing means retesting again and again. So let's say that you are testing an application. So once you test it, now you identified a bug. Okay, so when tester identified an error, this tester will send back to technical team. Again technical team will test, work on it, and again testers will test it. Again the bug is still there. So it's keep on repetition, repeating and repeating until unless you get, you are bug free. Bug is nothing but error. Okay, error free. So here sometimes what happens when you're doing this retesting, it takes a lot of time. Sometimes we don't know how much time it takes, but in case, like, your project deliverable, the timing is very near. So at that time what we can do here, so we don't know how much time we have to do this regression testing again and again. So that is the reason we use automation tools here. Okay, it is not all the time, but when it is a critical applications, when we have critical time, then we can go with this automation testing. Okay, let's see. Automated testing tools can be is especially useful for this type of testing. Next one, acceptance testing. So acceptance testing, user acceptance, all are same. So we'll discuss about this acceptance testing later. I mean, once we finish all these testings. Anyhow, we have to do UAT, right? User acceptance testing. At that time, I will explain you. Meanwhile, okay, load testing. The next one is load testing. The name itself says load, that is like increasing the load. Then what happens? Testing an application under heavy loads, such as testing of a website under a range of loads to determine at what point the system response degrades or falls. A small example I'll give you here. Let's say that you try to download 10 movies at a time on your computer. What happens? So your internet, you know, the speed will go down because the load is increasing, correct? And the load will be increased on your computer, on your system, on your processor, correct? And the load will be increased on the internet, the network. Okay, now second one is stress. Term often used interchangeably with load and performance. Of course, when the load is more, what happens? Automatically the stress is more. When the stress is more, automatically the performance will go down. System will get slow down. That's it. So stress testing, term often used interchangeably with load and performance testing. Also used to describe such tests as system functional testing while under unusually heavy loads. Heavy repetition of certain actions or inputs. Input of large numerical values, large complex queries to a database system. Okay, that is stress system testing. Term often used interchangeably with load and performance testing. Also used to describe such tests as system functional testing while used under usually heavy loads. Okay, so when the load is more, automatically the stress is more. And the next one is performance. So remember these three things, they connect with each other: load, stress, and performance. When the load is less, stress and performance will be there. When the performance is low, means you have to assume that load and stress is more. When the stress is more, that more means you have to assume that the when the stress is more, the load, you have to assume that load is more. Okay, fine, these three are interlinked with each other. Now, performance testing, term often used interchangeably with stress and load testing. Ideally, performance testing and any other type of testing is defined in requirements documentation or testing or test plans. Okay, so just try to understand. Performance means speed. Next, usability testing. Testing for user friendliness. Clearly, this is subjective and will depend on the targeted end user or customer. User interviews, surveys, Video recording for user sessions and other techniques can be used. Programmers and testers are usually not appropriate as usability testers. Pretty simple. So usability means it is for user friendliness. Like suppose client want to test before testing. Let's assume that a developers design the application and before testers has tested it. Now just client want to see like what happened, what was the development, just for user friendliness. They are not going to find you, they're not going to sue you. Don't feel that if they identify bugs and they feel that there are many they're not satisfied. It's not like that, because we haven't done testing till now, correct? So just for user friendliness, client want to test it, yes, you can invite them, you can ask them to test it, so that they will feel happy. Okay, so this is what our application is, this is what it looks like. Okay, that's it, that is known as usability testing. Installation and uninstallation, the name itself says, suppose if you design any software, install it and uninstall it and see whether it got installed properly and uninstalled properly. That's it. Testing of full, partial or upgrade install uninstall process. Recovery testing, testing how well a system recovers from crashes, hardware failures or other catastrophic problems. Okay, recovery testing, like where when you do this recovery testing, operating system, correct? When you design an operating system, you can do this recovery testing, right? When you design a database system, you can do this recovery testing. Suppose if you know by accidental, if you lose the data or maybe your system get crashed, so we can recover the data, okay, by using this recovery test. So like this, we have a couple of testings depending on the hello, hello, hello.